In this episode of Tool Talk, I'm talking about the tool that sucks the most in my shop, my dust collector. It was kind of a corny joke. So anyway, my dust collector, this is a G0703p dust collector. The P means polar bear series, which just means it's white and not Grizzly's normal green. So before this dust collector, I had a different one. I had the Harbor Freight 2 horsepower unit, which is a great buy if you're looking for a value dust collector that does a pretty good job. I never set it up, the Harbor Freight unit. I never set the Harbor Freight unit up the way it was intended to be set up. I immediately took it out of the box and built a Thien baffle for it and put it on top of a trash can and then ejected the fine dust outside. So that's my original setup. I'll post a link down below to the original setup if you are in a position in which you are able to exhaust the exhaust air outside. That won't work for this particular garage that I'm using as a shop. So I've got a unit that's got a filter or a cyclone and a filter built into it. You could do that with the Harbor Freight unit, but I really didn't feel like modifying it, and I just pressed the easy button and said, I'm just going to get this one. And so far I like it. Like it as an improvement from the Harbor Freight unit. The reason why I didn't want to put the Harbor Freight unit in here with no filter on the outside was that means I would have to cut a hole in the wall and filter the air outside. At the time, my reason for not doing that was I really didn't want to cut a hole in my house just for a dust collector. Yeah, it's not really that big of a hole, but you know, I just didn't want to cut a hole in my house for a dust collector. Had I gone that route, it kind of would have sucked anyway, because since then I've got an air conditioner in here and it would have just drawn all the cooled air out. So I'm glad I didn't go that route. This route is all contained inside the shop, which I really like. So this isn't a full review on this particular unit. I don't really care about all the specifics and specifications and fine numbers and all that crap. I just I'm going to talk about what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and would I buy it again. What I do like about it is it's a relatively small package. It doesn't take up that much space when you think about a Cyclone dust collector unit. It's on casters. It moves around really easily. However, I don't really move it. It just kind of sits right here. But the times in which I do need to move it, it moves around just fine, and I like that. As I said, I don't get into the specifics too much when it comes to these units or when it comes to tools in general. Sometimes you need to know certain specifics for tools or specifications, but for the vast majority of the time, I really don't care. So this particular unit is rated at less horsepower and less CFM than my Harbor Freight unit. And the reason I don't really care about those numbers is because, well, I don't know if there's a specific standard in which multiple companies have to follow to say these numbers, because I have no way of measuring CFM, but I know that when I turn that dust collector on, it feels a certain pressure when you put your hand next to it. And when I turn this dust collector on, it feels a heck of a lot stronger. So that's my only way of measuring CFM, is to just interact with it and how does it feel. This one feels like it has a heck of a lot more airflow than the other one. So for whatever that's worth, I don't know. I like the fact that this thing has a built-in remote that comes with it. There's a infrared sensor up here, and then the remote works in pretty much all of the areas in my shop to turn it on and off. However, the remote is very direction oriented. You have to really point the remote at this thing in order to turn on. So sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt to feel around until you get the good signal path to work, whatever that's called. I don't know this, I don't know the technical terms for infrared stuff. But the remote works. It's just kind of finicky. I don't use it for anywhere close to the dust collector. If I'm using the bandsaw, if I'm using the table saw, the jointer, I'm already right here, so I just reach over and turn it on. I keep the remote near the miter saw, so I use it over there. And honestly, sometimes I don't even go for it. I just walk over here and turn it on. So the remote works, but I think it could be better. and because it's included in the machine, I'm really not going to complain about it. Something that I like that I did not know existed when I first purchased it, or I did not know was an option, is this Cyclone can be unbolted from the bottom and twisted around so that the air inlet can be positioned wherever you want it in your shop. So if the air inlet was pointing that way in this orientation with the rest of the machine, and all my hoses and stuff go this way, it really wouldn't make sense. It would be kind of frustrating. You'd have to turn the machine and all that stuff. So having the ability to unbolt the Cyclone itself and twist it so the air inlet is in the direction in which that best fits your shop, that's pretty beneficial. That's probably standard amongst most other machines like this. I didn't know you could do that, and I'm glad that this one actually allows that to happen. It's got a roll-around dust collection bin, a can at the bottom with a bag in it to where you can just empty the bag as needed when it gets full. It's very easy to see when it is full because the clear hose connecting the Cyclone to the can itself, you can see right inside there and see when it is full. I've overfilled it a couple times where it was full, and I was in the middle of an operation on the planer, and I just figured, oh, one more pass won't hurt anything, or just get these last couple boards done. And I ended up filling up the Cyclone, and then the chips spewed over into the filter and filled up that bag. But as soon as I was done, I just cleaned it out, and it was all good to go again. So the only downfall I could give this thing is the filter. When I first put this thing together, when I first turned it on the very first time without any tools being hooked up to it, it emitted some type of heavy manufacturing smell that kind of bothered me a little bit, similar to a Harbor Freight smell when you walk in there and you instantly smell packing grease. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever been to a Harbor Freight, it's got a distinct smell to it. It was a similar smell like that you can only describe as a manufacturing facility smell. It kind of bothered me first month or so until it kind of went away, and now it doesn't even do that anymore. But it did bother me at first, so I'd knock it a little bit for that. I wish that never would have happened, but it's not here today. Would I buy it again if I had to do it over again? Probably so. This machine functions and does everything that I need it to do, and it's mobile, which is what I wanted. It's small, compact, so its features are what I was looking for. And yeah, I'd probably buy it over again if I had to. So that's it. I'm not a tool expert by any means, just sharing my experience with you on this particular tool. If you like this series, then next week, same time, we'll do it again with another tool. I'm not exactly sure which one, so stay tuned, and I guess you'll find out next week. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.